Akash tweeted this quote from Peter King on the Herd, on Avarathan, by the way. Unless somebody gives the Niners a decent offer, I will not be surprised if they do the same thing this year with one exception. I do think that unless he is simply not ready to play, I do think the opening day starter will be Trey Lance. Okay. So the way I interpret that, is this the way you interpret that? When he says they'll do the same thing this year, is like Jimmy and Trey will be on the roster, except this time Trey is the starter. Is that how you interpret what Peter's saying?
Jimmy's just sitting there with a hat on the sideline?
Yeah. Right. But that's how you interpret what he's saying, right?
Yeah. Obviously, there's a major variable there. They're going to have a $27 million backup.
So here's my question. If you're the 49ers and you say to Jimmy Garoppolo, we are not going to cut you, which is what you want. You played this game, and then Deshaun became available, and Matt Ryan went to the Colts, and you got stuck with that surgery. So we're not going to cut you.
I'm really quick, just on that point specifically. I'm a little bothered by their take about like hit us out of nowhere with his shoulder. Guys, he was fucking hurt. Whether the timing of the surgery, he was getting it. Like you would have traded him, then he would have got it. Like he was injured. It's not like, to me, if the injury, like we didn't even know the guy was injured, that would have been weird. Like I do support Jimmy of like he get the surgery whenever he wants. He was literally injured multiple spots. So the surgery really threw off the value. You mean the 3 injuries he had when the season ended? That everyone, I don't know, would have had a physical the moment he was traded? Maybe a trade would have gone, but like the NBA, it happens sometimes. Well, then if I'm the football team and I just trade you a 3rd round pick and Jimmy shows up, it's like, well, he has to get surgery. I'm giving him back to you or taking away less. Like what I think that's a little bullshit on the Niners.
Yeah, it's their way of saying we had a good plan and then he screwed it up. That's what they're saying. And I think the counter would be, yeah, sometimes guys get hurt and need surgery. And that's the risk you run when
happens all the time when
you go with a plan, right? That doesn't
Drew Brees is still getting surgery 3 years later.
Drew Brees got surgery 2 weeks ago. Ed Werder said Drew's. Anyway, here's the question, though. If you're the Niners and you offer Jimmy Garoppolo a contract at a reduced rate, if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, what's the lowest number you would take from the 49ers?
Well, I mean, they do have him by the balls a little bit because I don't think there's that much money out there.
Because I think if I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, there is a contract I would take from the 49ers.
Probably around 10.
No lower. I mean, I was thinking about 14. Because here's the thing.
But a guy who's giving him 12.
Right, maybe nobody will. But my point is, I absolutely would consider a pay cut to stay on the 49ers if I were Jimmy Garoppolo. For 2 reasons.
Give
One,
my job back.
The guy might get hurt. He got hurt last year. 1. 2, maybe I just replace him. So I think that's very real if you're Jimmy, that you would accept a pay cut. And then the Niners don't have a $27 million backup. They got a $13 million backup, and that's pretty palatable, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I think it's all on the table. I mean, I by no means, I don't see Jimmy on another team unless there's that weird Darnold
something happens to somebody or something happens to somebody.
And even that, I think that would be a little complicated given the cap. He might even have to restructure his contract to facilitate a trade. And by that point in time, what if Kyle's like, yeah, I'm not even want to give him up. Right?
Yeah, who knows what Trey's up to by then. So just something to chew on.
Yeah, I don't think Peter's wrong or anything. I just think that like there's an information gap that we're going to learn some fill in. Like there's a blank spot right now in this whole thing, and Trey gets to fill it in a little bit over the next month. Like it is his team. He's taking all the reps. Jimmy's nowhere to be found. I'm not disputing. Like it's not just a real. If they come back to training camp and they're both here, I'd say, wouldn't you agree it's one of the bigger stories immediately in the NFL?
It is, but there's also a world where Trey Lance is just the starting quarterback and Jimmy Garoppolo becomes a $13 million backup quarterback for the 49ers, right? Because that's where I go back to John Lynch. Like, let's take him at face value when he says we're not just going to give him away for nothing. What he's saying is we're willing to make him our backup. Now, maybe he's bluffing, but it's not like there's some bidding going on right now that he's bluffing towards.
I think it's more just the facts are on the side of like he's just telling the truth.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
he's not trying to like get the Colts to offer more than the Panthers.
I think it's a double whammy. The facts are on his side a little bit in terms of the nowhere for him to go, and it's like they got to see a little bit more out of the kid.
Yeah,
these guys aren't trying to like Well, I keep saying this about the next 5 years. They do not think like that. I mean, they do the way they draft players and big picture stuff, but like Kyle cares about 22 and making the playoffs in 22.
Yes, I do think he probably understands that at some point for 23 and 24 and 25, the kid's got to play, right? And he went all in on him. He drafted him.
Yeah, but I think he could easily justify it and been like, well, it's COVID year. With that 1 year last year, we were just Jimmy started, and even this year, 2 years redshirt. Then next year,
yeah,
it'd be pretty crazy 2 years redshirt in this day and age.
It would be.
That's what I'm saying. If Jimmy comes to camp and he's taking reps, even if it starts with the twos, like that's immediately a crazy story. Like, who's to say that Trey's just better than this guy right now? Are they just rigging the game, which is fine?
Well, they rigged it last year
for Jimmy.
For Jimmy, it was a rigged
game.
Remember,
as time went on, they were like, it was pretty clear to like the coaches and the players that Jimmy was better.
Yes, but part of that was.
That's where I get back. The players are sneaky judging you too. So when we've heard this comment over the years, just different teams, every sport, you never want to lose the locker room. So that I think Jimmy had the locker room last year because they trusted him the most. What if he's still around and they still trust him more because they don't think Trey has it yet?
Yeah. Well, it could be you look forward 3 years from now and they draft Trey Lance is not a good enough player. Right.
Which I think there are some people who think that's a possibility. Which
it's always a possibility. It's outside of Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. It's a possibility for, is Trevor Lawrence?
No, there's no guarantee. No. You see, I saw a headline yesterday from Doug Peterson. He's like, I realized this franchise needs to heal. It's like after Urban, like he's basically saying like we're easing into this. Like it was these guys are scarred from
what does that mean for how Doug runs an operation exactly, you think?
I just think being
more team
easier,
lunches.
Yeah, just
less yelling.
I
threats.
would imagine the stories that were coming out there probably aren't even crazy enough from what some people probably personally experienced. I think people are kind of like on their toes.
Yeah, he just got to show love.
If you're like LaVishka, you're like, whoa, I'm good. Yeah. But even he might just
everybody loves him.
What about just his quarterback? Like that guy, his first year in the league, like he's already kind of shook.
Yeah, it's I bet people in the organization are a little rattled about the quarterback. Like because everyone told us he was Peyton Manning too, like that much of a sure thing.
I do think the league. I remember reading a Sando article. They're like, yeah, I don't think anything. I give him a complete pass. But sometimes you give a guy a complete pass. There was a little something there.
Trevor Lawrence.
Stats weren't good.
Yeah. I remember watching him just thinking like he is an NFL athlete though. Like athletically, he can hang in the NFL.